Good evening, everyone. This is the Plant News Conference, and would like to open with a statement from Chairman Durandal.
Don't you think that it's horrible that Logos is using war for money and wealth? I just want to use it for power. What's so wrong with that?
And we open to Gundam SEED Destiny Movie 3. And wow, this was an experience. We're separating this into two parts because this was a mess.
Yes.
I know normally we give a summary, then we give our thoughts, but I just want to get that out there right now. This movie is a mess. Everything that goes downhill starts going downhill here, but why I feel the need to separate this one is because there's actually a breaking point in the movie where, it's not perfect at the beginning, but everything that was serviceable suddenly disappears. And it happens fast. Arcemise, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess to start us off before we cut to the half, we start off the movie with Shin knocking out one of these nurses, just breaking into a room, knocking her out. And if you don't know what's going on, it looks like he's just gone crazy.
Seriously, this is where the movie starts. You don't even get a chance to he just runs in and punches a nurse.
And then we see him cart out Stella, who you might remember from the last movie was the crazy girl pilot that he saved and brought back. While this scene is going on, we see him carting her out on the table and everything. We get this overlay of people explaining what's going on, that she was probably going to die because they didn't know how to take care of her, and that they were going to do an autopsy on her, and it really bothered Shin, so he was going to get her out of there. And we get to see Rei show up and help him out. So they knock out some Marines who are adults on this ship. That was an interesting thing.
That was a nice change.
But they're equally incompetent, so it didn't make much difference. Then Shin flies out in his whole suit. He couldn't just take the core booster. He took the whole thing.
Yeah, he takes we've used the core block system in every blasted episode. And yet, here he goes with the brand new core splendor thing and the rest of the Gundam. The whole Gundam. Did he need the whole Gundam? Probably not. Would have made him a lot harder to track down, but whatever.
So he flies Stella out, and it's presumed that he contacts Neo Roanoke.
We don't see this happen.
We don't see this happen. I kind of chalk it up as one of those things that when you reduce it to a movie, it gets put on the chopping block, and it works out all right. But so we get to see him confront Neo, and he's holding Stella, and he's like, I want to get your word that you'll take her away from all this pain and suffering. To which Neo replies, I give you my word. And I want to emphasize the pause in there, because I swear he's just trying to say this with a straight face.
Because, whenever there's this hurt girl, the best thing to do is to put her in the hands of the crazy-looking masked man.
You can trust them, right? They're wearing masks.
Oh.
And, the reason he did it, is because he knew Neo could take care of her, that he had the resources to protect her and save her life, because she was obviously dying. But when Shin gets back to the ship, he goes in to the room with the captain, and she even says, you look like someone who came here expecting to get punished. To which we instantly thought, but we're not gonna do that.
And they didn't. Talia just overlooks it.
They throw him. Well, Talia does.
That's right. It's not fair. Talia doesn't. She gets orders from Durandal, or at least from headquarters, presumably from Durandal, not to punish him.
They do spend probably an hour in the brig, this easily escapable brig, considering how thin these guys are and how wide the bars are. I mean, they could just walk out practically. But we get a good exchange of dialogue between Shin and Athrun here again. Ray is actually in the cell next to him. But Shin is arguing with Athrun about how Stella was a victim in all this too, that she was forced to pilot suits, and that they, like, what makes them different is that they're volunteers instead. To which Athrun has this great rebuttal: then maybe you shouldn't have given her back to the guys that put her in the suit.
And I was still thinking, yeah, hand her over to the mysterious masked man. You are so smart. So smart.
And, like, we instantly cut to Neo and Stella and his crew, what's left of him anyway, and he's instantly suiting her up to put her in this new mech.
The Destroy Gundam. This...
We'll get to him in just a little bit.
Oh, boy.
But again, Durandal completely pardons both Ray and Shin in this whole fiasco. I mean,
keep in mind, we have had a medical officer has been punched in the solar plexus and rendered unconscious. Multiple Marines have been assaulted, and a POW has been taken out of, their protection and given back to the enemy.
None of this is really legal by most military standards.
And presumably he contacted the enemy to give her back, so...
I think most people get shot for that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's normally considered treason, I think. I'm guessing.
But, pardon. It's all good.
Fraternizing.
But we're pretty sure that all this happens just so that they can keep the plot moving. They overlook it, so it's like, oh, we gotta keep going. They're good. Yeah. So, we cut to the Destroy Gundam. Guess what it does?
The Destroy Gundam's first appearance is I almost want to call it a cross between the Big Zom and the Regult battle pod from Macross. Because it's got these reverse joint legs, and but it's moving around. It looks like this giant hamburger thing. And it's going around just destroying Berlin for, as far as we could tell, no discernible reason.
We really aren't sure what the motivation is to unleash this suit. It is slaughtering. It's attacking suits, it's attacking buildings, it's attacking people.
Now, granted, it's only attacking Zaft suits, but it's just like, what do they hope to accomplish by this? Aren't they the Earth Alliance? I'm so lost. What is going on?
They unleash this thing on Earth, attacking Earth cities. It's baffling, and at one point we actually paused the movie, which we did several times, but we paused it because we needed to reaffirm with ourselves that we in fact did not know why the Destroy Gundam was set loose.
And we'll sometimes have these moments where we'll, like, look at each other and it'll be like, why is this happening? And then the other one will explain it. But neither Arcemise nor I could figure this one out.
Or your roommate.
Yeah, my roommate was here for this movie, and he didn't get it either. No one understood what was going on. Stella's going around making a big mess, and then the Archangel shows up.
It descends from the heavens. It's as it usually does.
Kigali's sitting on the sidelines initially, kind of just...
Though she gets to hop in her suit to defend people, as I kind of said. Defend the kitchen, woman.
Yeah.
Not like, I don't mean to disrespect women myself. It's just what the show was doing.
It again blows my mind that a woman was the head writer of this show, and the women in this series are some of the worst Gundam has ever had. I mean, it even undoes some of the great things in Seed, which hurts. Really bad.
Kind of moving on then, the fight keeps going, that Kira and Shin are kind of going after the Destroy Gundam, and it gets cut up pretty good. The cockpit is exposed. And at this moment, Neo shows up and he like rams into Shin and yells out to him that Stella's the pilot. And there are a couple of ways you could have handled this situation. Our own interpretation would have gone something like,
"Hey, dude, that's the in there. That's the pilot. That's the girl. Remember her, the one you gave to me? She's in that machine right now."
"You gave me your word."
"I gave you a word."
Like we couldn't figure out exactly why Shin didn't go off on Neo. Because obviously Neo betrayed him. And
Neo unquestionably betrayed him.
Again, going back to the whole thing of him saying it with a straight face.
And in the movie timeline, he betrayed him for like 5 minutes. It wasn't even that long ago that he made that promise, it seemed. So
It was probably like within a day of it happening. Then, like, Shin, obviously, he's kind of, like, shocked at this, and he sees Stella in there, and he's, like, instantly concerned about her. But then, we have Kira actually opens fire on this exposed part of the suit.
with his linear guns.
And the cockpit is just not destroyed, but, like, Stella actually gets tons of shrapnel stuck in her. Both in her, like, armor parts of her suit, but also, like, in her arms.
Yeah, like, in places where there definitely wouldn't be armor, it's just big shards of metal sticking out of her.
And Shin, of course, this gets him going, and so he goes after Kira, and they have a scuffle.
At the same time, Sting, who was the other extended pilot, is flying around and runs into some of Orb's cannon fodder.
And gets taken out. Boom. Boom. There were 2 booms.
2 booms, yeah.
He's dead.
Paint this picture pretty clearly, his suit is hundreds of miles above the surface. I mean, he's way up in the air. And his suit explodes in 2 pieces.
And at the same time, like, our statement about that will be a little more relevant later on. We'll get to that.
Neo also manages to get taken out
by Kira. And of course this gets Stella going. And she opens fire again. And of course, like, this is like a constant thing. She's been opening fire, taking out everything around her. I mean, if you're within a mile of this thing, it's just destruction. And
Shin tries pretty well to calm her down.
Yeah, he actually gets through to her. Like, she stops, like, she keeps crying that she doesn't want to die, which was her kill phrase.
Yeah.
That would make her go crazy.
We never learned Sting's kill phrase.
Probably death too. But Shin is able to get through to her.
He turns off his beam saber. He
kind of flies in, arms out and open, and gets really close. And then and Stella's like, totally probably just ready to surrender. And then she spots Kira in the corner, and she freaks out, justifiably so, because Kira is terrifying when you're on the receiving end of him.
Well, he's managed to damage her machine in the past. He took out Neo. He has been just this source of chaos in every battle. They don't know whose side he's on. She was upset that she didn't know whose side he was on in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So she freaks out again.
We do get a weird moment of new type nudity, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, since they're not new types, or presumably.
Like I want to say these kind of things have happened in Seed.
Yeah, it's happened in Seed before.
These moments.
When Flay
oh yeah,
reached out to Kira in the last episode.
But they're few and far between. And
Flay was dying, so I was more willing to accept it.
Yeah. But again, Kira's presence makes her go crazy, and she's about to fire again. And Kira goes up, and he stabs his beam sabers into the suit's guns, causing it to blow up. And I think we do want to stop here because this is one of those moments where we do agree with what Kira did. To save many, he had to make that decision. To go along with Shin was just gonna cause more problems. He would have to get her out of the suit somehow, which wasn't happening. So the question that comes up though is whether or not this was within Kira's character.
And it's valid, because, I mean, yes, it was. I don't think there's any question of if it was the right thing to do. But the issue is that Kira has been so against killing people. At times, as we saw in the last movie, he will disable a suit, but leave it in a state where someone else can kill it, as we saw with Heine.
And this will even come up more later on in this movie, that aspect of his fighting style.
Yeah, he almost never goes for the cockpit, except in this battle, where he just goes all out, and he even gets upset with Shin for not going all out on it.
Yeah, he yells at him for standing there. He's like, "You're a sitting duck." It just shows like Kira was really out of touch with this battle, considering his own like SEED abilities, like as far as being able to connect with people and see what's going on in a fight. He just was really out of touch.
And it's weird for him, and it's a rare spot where we actually have Kira not making all the right decisions and being perfect. And I guess not making all the right decisions in the heat of the moment, but I mean his end goal was correct. It's just weird for him not to have that understanding on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Compared to what we've seen before.
And so the closing of this was Shin gets Stella out of the cockpits like after it's crashed and blown up, and she dies in his arms, saying that she loves him, and that just tears him apart. He actually like drops her down into the water, much like for those who've seen Final Fantasy VII. It's much like the Aerith scene where he lowers her into the water and she descends. Really, touching, powerful scene.
It's a really good scene. I mean, despite the fact that the setup to this didn't make a whole lot of sense, the end results were powerful, and they deserve some credit there.
And again, the SEED Destiny continues to do a great job of showing destruction on a massive scale. And by a good job, I don't mean, it's beautifully animated and everything. I mean, we get to see like the consequences of all these destruction. And here, what was kind of nice as far as a Gundam universe is that we actually got to see relief efforts. There are troops and first aid people there going out and finding lost children, helping people out.
Specifically, you see a Zaft soldier pick up a kid and wrap a blanket around him. I mean,
yeah. And granted, what made these destructive moments more powerful was the fact that these relief people were on the field getting killed while they're trying to save people. So again, very powerful, very well done in that regard.
There was a lot to praise here. It's amazing where the show's about to go, honestly.
Yeah. We then cut to Durandal giving a speech with fake Lacus and telling the people of Earth that this was all orchestrated by the organization Logos. And he decides to show their pictures and show who exactly Logos is. And pretty much unleashes the world on these guys.
I want to pause here for a bit, let's think about what's going on here, because I was honestly taken out of the moment at this part.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the implication here is that Durandal has shown people the faces of who makes money off of war, and is just letting anarchy break out. Now, firstly, I just don't find that to be very realistic, because again, like we were saying in the last movie, it's not that shocking that people make money off of war. I don't mean to sound cold or cruel-hearted.
It's the truth.
It's true, yeah. People make money off of war. I don't see people rioting about things like that in the real world. And which, I mean, we can debate of whether or not that's a good thing, but I'm not going to get into that here. I'm just saying I don't feel that it was a very realistic portrayal of that.
Because they go into full-scale, like, rebellion, vigilante type things. All, like, over half, I want to say, of these Logos members, over the course of this movie, we see them get killed by people just storming into their places and shooting them.
Yeah, we just see anarchy breaking out and attacking these rich white guys, of course.
Of course.
But it's like, whoa. How does Durandal plan to, get this back under control? And we never find out, because after we see their places getting stormed, that's the end of it.
And then we do some amazing cutting to the Archangel, which is suddenly under attack by Zap forces.
The editing is so bad in this movie, it's not even funny. Yeah, so the Archangel is getting followed by Bakus and some other stuff, and they're just hightailing it out of there.
And the Minerva is at the head of this attack on the Archangel, to which Athrun is on board. Like, the only working suit is Shin's.
I was about to say, we need to make this clear. At the beginning of this movie, there is one working mobile suit on the Minerva, and there is still only one working mobile suit on the Minerva.
And Athrun, of course, since he can't participate in the fight, is talking to the captain of the Minerva, and he's telling him, like, why are we attacking these guys? They've done nothing wrong. They're not our enemies. And the captain of the Minerva, I always forget her name.
Talia Gladys.
She replies that she's been trying to clarify too, because she doesn't want to take out the Archangel. I think she respects them.
She seems to respect Maru especially.
Yeah, and her orders as they were given to her was to take them out on sight, because they aren't affiliated with either force, and the efforts that they do, the actions that they take, just cause confusion in battle, which leads to it exacerbates the situation and more people die.
Which we generally agreed with last movie, so their justification for doing this, not too bad.
Now, I know we just said that Talia respects Captain Maru of the Archangel, but we have this moment where we're not sure why. Because Maru, right now, the Archangel has quite a few orb soldiers on board from the last movie. And
they're the guys that killed Sting.
Yeah. And all of them are on board in the mess hall, just raring to go. They want to go out and fight. Right now, Kira's the only one out there shooting down all these missiles that are coming towards the Archangel. And Maru's, reasoning is that we can't send out troops and retaliate because they're trying to provoke us.
Or rather, it's not even her reasoning. It's the reasoning Kira told her to have.
Yeah.
What kind of a ship does the captain take orders from a pilot? I don't care how good the pilot is.
Bright never took any of that crap.
You'd Bright slap him into last week.
But what the problem that we have with this is it raises the question, what are the implications of the Archangel fighting back in self-defense? Even if, it was recorded by some other outside force and, re-edited to make them look like the bad guys. What does it actually look like? How would that implicate them?
Zaf still has the superior numbers. Kira is still flying around out there fighting anyway. It's just the other orb suits can't launch.
Yeah.
The hell. I'm sorry.
And like I said, he was shooting down missiles, but he's also taking out suits. Like, he's disabling them in true Kira fashion. So he's attacking them. Why isn't the rest of the ship fighting? We can't figure this out.
We're lost. Is Kira punishing them because he thinks they killed Sting, and he's like, no,
no, I didn't.
No one may kill on my perfect battlefield.
Oh, that's a different show. We've also come to the conclusion that no one watches the news unless it's a speech by Durandal and or Lacus.
It sounds like he's trying to keep up the Archangel's PR, but we never see anyone's reaction to the Archangel anyway. I would like to see what people at home are like, hey, why is that random ship showing up to the fight and blowing everyone up? That's just silly.
Well, look, they're not even blowing them up. They're just cutting them up so that they can't fight anymore. That seems like a nice thing to do.
Well, that's unusual. That's kind of, I can support them, I guess. And then there's the space newscaster who's like, we're at war.
We're at war.
Pick a side.
But as this fight continues, the Minerva actually maneuvers around and gets in front of the Archangel and cuts them off. They were going through this valley,
which admittedly is really cool.
Yeah, because the Minerva comes out of the smoke haze right in front of them, and it's like,
hi guys.
Hi. And so Talia calls up the Archangel, and is like, and I give her a lot of props for this because she's under orders to shoot these guys on sight. She says, if you guys surrender, we guarantee your safety, and everything like that. And the Archangel, they look around, they talk to each other. Kira texts from his mobile suit as he's fighting, which should be against the law. It's like driving. Don't drive and text. They decide that they can't surrender because Kigali is on board.
And that would put her in jeopardy. And not the kind where you have to answer the question with a question.
To which Kigali, gets really upset, justifiably so, because she's still being treated like a pawn. She has no say in this matter. They don't listen to her.
She's not getting treated much better than she was in Orb.
But, so, the Archangel says, sorry, we appreciate the offer, but we can't accept. So they take off.
I like that Solid Snake was the one telling them that,
yeah.
too.
Maru got a really deep voice. And, so the Archangel kind of makes a narrow escape past the Minerva. And then we get our awesome fight between Kira and Shin.
Holy poo. This is what we've been waiting for. Now, granted, part of the drama here lies in that you're not supposed to want Kira to get his face crammed into the ground and destroyed.
At this point, you're still shouldn't be cheering for Shin because he's still not that agreeable. We still have a lot of problems with him as a protagonist.
Shin is still being a jerk face, and despite the fact that Kira has been a self-righteous jerk himself for most of this, he still hasn't been as...
We still kind of have him as the moral high ground here.
Uh-huh.
He's still more of a good guy than Shin is.
He's not flying off the handle as much, even though he's attacking people randomly, but, whatever.
So Kira starts this fight out in seed mode, and Shin goes after him, and actually is able to dodge Kira's attacks without seed mode. That's really impressive.
Because someone can dodge him. But then Shin starts doing more than dodging. He's smart. He gets really smart.
This all comes back to, we get a little flashback to earlier. Rey actually takes him aside and points out the fact that Kira never aims for the cockpit. So not having to worry about that gives Shin a huge advantage.
And he starts using the Impulse's abilities to their full extent. So if Kira messes up his head and arms, he calls for a new head and arm unit, and then blows up the damaged one, causing more damage to Kira.
We see Shin fight with his mad dog intensity, but with the cold calculatedness of someone who is in complete control. It is terrifying and amazing.
He's a tactician. He is a brilliant tactician, and he's doing really well. And Kira doesn't have something that can beat this. Kira is the freedom for the first time since the end of Gundam SEED. The freedom is getting torn apart. Its arm is damaged. Its wing is ripped off.
And we end the fight with Shin stabbing the freedom right through, presumably, the cockpit.
And there should have been a nuclear explosion, since we established in the last series that this was a nuclear-powered Gundam, but...
But remember, Nick, in the series, he turned off the nuclear reactor because he didn't want everybody to die.
Yes, in the TV series, he turned off the nuclear reactor. I don't think that's how nuclear reactors work. I don't understand how that would work, but whatever. He's run through, and the Archangel goes underwater.
Off screen, if I remember.
Off screen, yeah. We just see him blow up.
In fact, later on, it's commented that they're surprised to see the Archangel when we weren't. Not because we had been on it occasionally after this moment, but because we never saw it blow up. In fact, we never saw it go underwater. We got caught up in our fight, and the editing just forgot about the Archangel. So,
Shin
chalk
makes
it
it
up to that.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Shin makes it back, and he's congratulated by most of the Minerva crew for taking out the Freedom, which has been, randomly attacking them for the last couple battles. But Shin, despite the fact that Rei was the one who taught him most of this stuff, Shin has had that relationship growing with Athrun, and he runs to him. He wants his attention. He has this puppy dog face. He wants his teacher's approval, and Athrun can't give it to him because Athrun's upset that his friend has been presumably killed. And the scene is really powerful because we have two people. Athrun is upset with Shin for killing Kira, and Shin is upset with Athrun for not being, happy for him.
Shin even says the line, "Would you have been happier if I had died out there?" And like, this moment can be frustrating for the audience because they want to side with someone. They want to side with one of these guys, probably Athrun more than Shin. But they're both equally right, and they're both equally wrong, which makes it really impossible for you to justify siding with one of them over the other. It's really well written, like, it's great for the characters, but as an audience, it can be a little frustrating.
It's really hard on the audience just because you don't want Athrun to be making these, you don't want Athrun to be in the wrong, especially after his friend has died. He is completely justified in being upset. But at the same time, Shin has followed and carried out his orders, which Athrun has been telling him to do up until now. He's finally doing what he's been trained to, and he doesn't even get, the solace of a job well done through that.
He gets punched in the face. Athrun actually punches him in the face, arguing that Kira wasn't even trying to kill him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, really well done scene. It's broken up when Rei steps in and states that Kira was an enemy. And enemies are meant to be destroyed.
This becomes a big theme with Rei, who suddenly is now doing things in this movie. I remember in our last couple of reviews we were saying, why is Rei even here?
Why is he on the cover of the third movie? Well, we're starting to see it at this point.
Yeah, his part is making sense now, thank heavens.
After this, we get Shin and Athrun are given the Destiny and the Legend by Durandal. He takes him up to his workshop, and we get this funny scene where he's like, "I know you've had your eyes on these new suits," and the camera pans up.
You can't see anything.
You can't see anything because the lights aren't on. It's just like shining the light on the walkway that they're on, and then it's like, turn on the lights.
Light on, please. He doesn't actually say that.
He doesn't say that.
We were kind of like, no, I meant, oh, sorry, can I do that again? The light was supposed to be on. You're looking at them.
Yeah, so just kind of a funny, stupid moment. And Shin is like a kid in a candy store. He is so happy to get a new suit. He's getting recognition for his success from Durandal. He's still not getting it from Athrun, but
But who cares?
happy.
The chairman of the colonies is...
And he's giving you a new suit.
Brand new suit.
Spanking new.
And then there's the legend, which has the... its code serial number is ZGMFX 666.
There's no symbolism there.
And it looks like Raul Crusay's unit. Something tells me that Athrun's not going to end up on this thing.
At this moment, Athrun actually takes the opportunity to try and call Durandal out on some of these things that he's still confused with himself. He asks him, like, why did you order the assault on the Archangel? They weren't doing anything wrong. And also about the whole Logos thing. He asks him, like, why did you kind of unleash the world on itself? And this is where we had our opening quote, where Durandal replies, like, isn't it horrible that people use war for profit? Which is why we had to input our own little line where I just use it for power.
It's very Palpatine, and I don't get to talk about it much, but I really, if you didn't read into it if you've seen my previous Clone Wars video, I don't like the Star Wars prequels. But I do like the scenes with Palpatine. And I really felt like, I really was reminded of Palpatine with, and then there will be peace. Except he doesn't look like Monster Mash, so I'm not as disturbed by him.
It's a much more charming Palpatine. And after this, so, like, I guess Athrun never really gets a straight-up answer from him, but that is very politician of him.
Uh-huh.
He won't answer. Next, we get this scene from Mir's perspective. We get to see
Gilbert sitting down with Rey.
Yeah.
And this was another plot point that I thought was interesting. In the TV series, they make it really clear that Rey is very close with Gilbert. And in this, aside from him calling Gilbert Gil in one scene in the first movie, we have not seen that closeness. Up until here, where they're just sitting down drinking tea. And then we find out why Rey is drinking tea with Gilbert, and he's got quite the ulterior motive.
Basically, he tells Gil that that Athrun has been conspiring with Kira and the Archangel, and he shows him pictures from earlier. One of the earlier movies where Athrun went and met Kira and those guys, and basically, like, Gil agrees with him that, we'll have to get rid of Athrun because he's obviously not good for our purposes. And what's really interesting in this is that it's really Rey's plot. It's not Durandal's. Rey comes up with this and makes the proposition that we need to remove this guy.
And we started seeing it with the fight with Kira. Rey is trying to drive this wedge between Shin and Athrun, who, as I stated before, I thought was a really strong relationship in the TV series.
We do, like, we often see Athrun and Shin, like, every time they're in a room together, they'll be arguing. But there's still a great amount of respect between the two. And
though you could see that when Shin wanted his approval.
Yeah.
It's the...
And so... as when you're initially watching this, it might seem kind of weird for Rey to try and put this wedge in between the two when there doesn't seem to be any need. But it's very important. It shows the shift where Rey is trying to become a main character, trying to be the one that Shin looks up to.
Which is also weird because it's his roommate and someone who's his own age. So it's like, okay.
But... going as the movie continues, Mir goes up and warns Athrun that they're coming to take him away. Haha.
Double D Lacus actually starts developing a personality here.
And in this, like, I'd say 5-6 minute sequence, we get introduced. I state that we get introduced to a whole bunch of Zaft characters.
Yeah.
We've seen them before. We may know their names.
Big May.
But this is the first time that we hear them do anything.
And we actually have them acting like characters and not just, oh, well, they have job. Other than job, that's what they are.
So Mir tries to, like, you know, warn Athrun and help him out in some way, but when he pretty much, we're not entirely sure how he comes to this conclusion, but it's kind of reasonable for him to state that he's like booking it out of there, and he's like, Mir, come with me, you know, I can protect you, because when Durandal's done with you, when he's run out of use, he's gonna kill you.
Now, we were kind of like, whoa, where did you come to that conclusion, buddy?
Where did kill come from? I mean,
that seemed kind of random, but then again, he tried to kill the real Lacus, so maybe that's where he came to that conclusion from. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mir decides no. She actually, you know, wants to keep being Lacus. It's kind of, she's developed this as her identity, and to remove her from that role would pretty much destroy her. And this is the first time, you know, people look down on Mir a lot, mostly because we don't get this characterization from her until very late in the series. But it shows that she has complex feelings. She isn't just that cardboard cutout, though interestingly enough, she wants her identity to be that. Mm-hmm. She wants to be the stand-in for Lacus.
She really loves this. It's just that she's losing touch with who she was before she was this cardboard cutout. And I guess it makes me curious as to who Mir Campbell is as a person, rather than just who the replacement Lacus that she has become is. But she doesn't want to go back to that. Because the glory and the fame are just so much for her that she loves that too much to give it up, yeah.
Athrun, you know, decides to leave her behind. In the rain, the poor girl, she's like half naked.
She's half naked all the time,
She's half naked all the time.
It's not quite as shocking.
Yeah, girls need clothes in this show, which takes us to Marin's room. Marin is the sister of Luna Maria Hawk, who works as an operator on the Minerva. And this is the first time we've seen her say more than Zaku launching. And
Impulse, core splendor launch, leg parts launching, torso parts yeah.
And Athrun initially is like, you know, just stay quiet. I'm gonna just sneak out of your room, and you can scream or do whatever once I'm gone. You know, just give me this little window.
Then he gives her the horrible advice, if you want to know, ask Ray about it.
Yeah, that was a great line. Ask Ray. It's not like he's got ulterior motives or anything like that. But he, instead of, you know, just kind of accepting what Athrun suggested, we hear guards come and knock on the door. And Marin decides to take a different direction. She grabs Athrun, runs into the bathroom, turns on the water, and starts stripping.
That was odd.
Like, in that sequence, boom, boom, boom.
But this is SEED Destiny. This is SEED, so nudity is just part of the package.
Yeah. So she, like, wets her hair real quick. She's in her bra and panties. And quickly wraps herself in a towel and goes and answers the door.
And pretends to be a ditz.
Yeah, which is interesting because then Luna shows up, like trying to figure out what all this commotion is. There's like 5 or 6 Marines out there looking for Athrun.
And Luna, being a protective big sister, wants to know why all of these men are
trying to get into Marin's room
while she's naked.
Why are you answering the door in a towel? And this goes back to, this is actually the most lines Luna has had in this movie.
Because most of it has just been, Shin! Shin! Shin!
And well, this is about,
I don't remember
think
how
we're probably
far
close to an hour in.
Probably.
45 minutes in.
This felt like a really long movie.
This movie felt a lot longer than an hour and a half.
Boy, it did.
So, like, They talk the guards away, and we find out Marin's actually an elite hacksaw, and actually paves the way for Athrun to escape in a goof from the hangar. Unfortunately, when they're driving there, Rey spots them.
And Rey turns into the Terminator.
He goes after them with a machine gun. Only fires single shots, but a machine gun nonetheless. And opens fire on them right away.
Doesn't even give them a chance.
And Athrun yells out, don't shoot, Marin's here.
And Rey just shoots more.
He keeps shooting. There's a great line coming up for him, but I'll wait for it. So they're able to kind of fight Rey off and get into the goof and take off. And so Rey runs back, grabs Shin, and says, we're going goof hunting. He doesn't say that, but I said it for him. And so they take off, and Rey kind of gives Shin the briefing on the way, and we're going after Athrun and Marin. Marin is an intelligence officer who has classified information. We can't allow her to get away. And this is and so their orders are, to kill them on sight. Essentially, we have to shoot these guys down. This is another great moment for Shin.
I'd agree.
Because it's the conflict between what Athrun's been teaching him and what Rey's been kind of putting on him. Rey's mentality is they're enemies, we kill enemies. Whereas Athrun is think for yourself. And
think for yourself, but remember, following orders is a good idea, but
at the same
looking
time,
at the bigger picture is what is the important thing. Don't just act on your impulses. Impulse Gundam. Haha, see what they did there?
I see what they did there. Oh, they went out in the Destiny and the
Legend.
The Legend,
of
by
course,
the
Rowler Crusade looking guy gets the Rowler Crusade machine. What a
But this was interesting because we actually didn't get much of an introduction, as we'll see later on in the movie, for the other suits for the main characters.
Yeah, Shin gets his mid-season upgrade, and it's not very glorious. It just goes out and has glowy wings.
It goes out, goes goof hunting, and the Legend, I mean, it could be one of the mechs that are in the background that were getting slaughtered before. I mean, it kind of just, honestly, it looks fairly generic when compared to the other Gundams, which look like Gundams. That's my own take on it. But we get Shin in this very conflicted state, and he ultimately decides to go with Rey. He sides with this feeling that Athrun has betrayed him, which is really big for Shin, and so he goes after Athrun in the who's flying in a goof. I mean, he does not have the suit to win this fight.
Yeah, I mean, he's on cannon fodder number 5, and Shin is on brand new super A+++ class mobile suit. And even though he gets in a Rambaral, as in he wraps his heat rod around the rifle, just like Rambaral did, just like Heine did, just like...
Don't worry, we'll see it 3 more times in this movie.
I wish we were kidding!
But, when it is very obvious to Athrun that there's no way he can talk Shin down from this, so he's like, let Marin go. She is just a bystander in this. She has no part in this.
Not her fault.
It's not her fault. She just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Let me get her out of here.
Do whatever you want to me.
Yeah, do whatever you want to me. Let her go. To which Rey replies,
there is no meaning to Marin's existence. Holy crap.
She is an enemy. She is no longer a person. And there's this brilliant look on both Athrun and Marin's face.
Like, oh dear.
And even us, we had the same face, honestly. We were like, oh my god. And this, Rey is like 15 or something. Child soldiers are a cornerstone of Gundam, but man, the coldness of how he says that is just very powerful.
His mobile suit has a 666 in its serial number.
And
Just
Shin
saying.
Shin is pushed past the limit, goes into seed mode, cuts up the goof horribly, and then stabs it in the cockpit again.
Just like he did the Freedom.
Using the same animation, by the way.
Oh.
Okay. And we get the kind of falling action for this with Shin and Rei going back to the base. You know, Luna finding out that her sister is presumably dead, that Atherin's betrayed them all. And there's just this breakdown of morale on the Minerva. I mean, this hit them hard.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna probably end this part with the last scene that we want to mention was one where Luna and Shin are passing each other in the hallway. And right as Shin passes her, like Luna stops, Shin keeps going.
Luna has just been told. We should mention Luna has just been told by
Not only told, she was interrogated.
Yeah, she was interrogated by what appear to be MPs about her sister fraternizing with the enemy, and she's found out that she has been presumably killed
By Shin. And as Shin passes her, he says, "I'm sorry." This is the first time we've ever heard Shin apologize for anything. That just shows how much this tore him apart to follow through on this order.
He's killed his mentor. He has killed a girl who has never done him any harm.
And Luna just starts crying on his back. And this is about where we're going to stop with this section. Because this is where we just had, like we said, some great moments.
There's a serious tonal shift after this point. Do we want to just discuss what worked about this first half of the movie?
The emotional roller coaster of Shin's life that has taken him. Again, honestly, we're still in the mode where Shin still feels like the main character, interestingly enough. About by this time in the series, when we were watching it, we had pretty much shifted to Kira and Atherin, following them specifically, and leaving Shin by the wayside.
And Shin does a lot of stupid things. We're not denying that.
Yeah.
Handing the girl over to the masked man was a bad idea. But he's also has the compelling nature that we want in a Gundam lead.
We start seeing him grow. He's had some great tragedies in his life. With his family, up to Stella, and now this last moment where he has had to kill Atherin, presumably. Just very powerful moments in his life, and we see him reacting to it, and how much it changes him.
It's ripping him apart, and he's lashing out about it. I mean, Kira, a lot of people, it's easy to forget that Kira had these really hard times in the first seed, where he's being torn apart too, but where Kira would get upset and then, kind of retreat into his room and cry. We have Shin going through these emotional roller coasters while he's in the cockpit, and his rage driving him so much more.
Yeah. But I still really like him as a character.
He has so much potential. He has the potential to be an amazing Gundam lead. This is a major turning point for him, where I could see the series taking some interesting directions. When I watched the TV series, I was expecting Rei to become the main bad guy around this point.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, we'll see as the review continues how that pans out, but...
Yeah. At this point, I still say that this first half of the movie, I'd give it a 3.5, if not a 4. It has some pretty bad editing issues.
It has some really bad editing.
Some continuity hiccups and everything. But for the most part, we've had some major fights, some very good ones, and some great character development.
a lot of interesting Zaft people have finally come up. Oh, thank God, Zaft people who are interesting.
And like I said, I'd give it a 3.5 or about a 4, even, which would be the highest points in the series. Interestingly enough,
I'd agree. I think the opening of the series was really strong, and I feel that this carries over a lot of the strength from the earlier part. Seeing the relationships get torn asunder in a meaningful way is important. There's a lot of relationships get shaken up by this show, and I don't feel like they were always done at the emotional impact that they deserved. But this definitely delivers it. And the next, why we're separating it is because the next half of the movie
doesn't do so hot.
Doesn't do that hot at all. So we're going to take a break, and we'll catch you guys after the jump.
See ya.